That's how we did it. You go this way, you go all the way to the end. That's how it should. Exactly.
She didn't remember Cindy.
Okay, thanks for telling me. All right.
I know, we're getting started.
I don't know.
All right. Everyone can take their seats. We need a new gavel. I'd like to call the Ravenna City Council meeting on January 6th to order. The first item on the agenda is a moment of meditation and silence. You'd all join me with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Gregory, would you call the roll?
Mr. Kelfi?
Here.
Ms. West? Here. Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Wood? Here. Mr. Maravich?
Here.
Ms. Michael?
Here.
Mr. Harper?
Here.
This being the first meeting of the year, we do have a couple of items of housekeeping to take care of. The first one is the election of a president pro tem. This is the person who takes over for me when I keel over in the middle of a meeting. So I'd like to entertain a motion to nominate someone from council to take on that role.
I'd like to nominate Amy. Michael?
Second.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, everyone in favor of appointing Amy Michaels pro tem, say yes.
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 Anyone opposed? Congratulations,
Thank you.
Michael.
Once again.
Oh. Rob makes it easy. He's here all the time, so.
You never know. Okay, the next item, you've all been sent the committee assignments. I don't believe there are any significant changes to them. But it does require a vote, so if we could get a motion to approve those committee assignments?
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. We have our committee assignments, and everyone was sent our schedule of meetings for the year as well. We don't need to vote on those. Next item on the agenda is delegations from the public. Do we have anybody here tonight who wishes to speak to council? Hi, Mr. Brown. If you could step up, give your name and address. Is that on?
Oh, no, it's not. We need
Oh,
to turn it
just a second. I think that needs to be turned on.
Yeah, it's on the bottom of it back there. There's a little switch that needs pushed.
Oh, okay.
The red light will come on.
Yeah, there we go. Much better.
I guess as a past city councilman, when people see you walking down the grocery store, they stop you and they say, hey, can you help me with this? And that's what happened to me today. Jerry Moore, who lives on Main Street, is getting water in his house in the basement, and it's really agitating him. From what he's telling me, that he didn't get any water in the house prior to the city doing a project down there. After the city completed the project, he started getting flooding in the house. And that's his major concern. He says something happened. I don't know what happened, but, and he was gonna be here at 7, because I thought the city council meeting started at 7. That was when I was on council. But he's not here, so he should be here a little later on. And I guess my major concern, I did call the engineer, I did talk to Mr. Seaman, talked to a couple of council folks, and I do give your council clerk high credit, because she did call me back today and answered a few of my questions. She was very, very responsive, and I think that's critical to me. And I guess my major concern is just if somebody could take a look at that, get back with Mr. Moore, and see if we can't resolve it.
Did Mr. Moore say whether he's already been in contact with anybody at the city?
He said he has talked to Mr. Seaman and someone from the engineering department.
Okay. All right, well, we will certainly pass on the word and get someone to respond to his concerns. I'm not sure there's anything council specifically can do about it. But, thank you, and pass the word on to Mr. Moore. He should be hearing from somebody. Does anybody else from the public wish to address council tonight? Okay, seeing no one, we will move on. The next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Since this is like the third time we've done a consent agenda, does anybody wish to move anything out of the consent agenda into the regular agenda? Or make any other alterations to the agenda for that matter? Seeing none, could we get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, the next item is the consent agenda. You have several items in there, including the minutes from meetings and reports from officials, and then a few ordinances in there as well. Does anybody have any comments about the consent agenda?
It was very thoughtful to get Christmas cards.
True. Okay, then, is there a motion to dispense with the requirements of the city charter and the revised code of Ohio with reference to reading on 3 different days and adopting emergency clauses and approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second?
Could we get a roll call for that?
Ms. West?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Maravich?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Consent agenda is approved. The next item on the agenda is our invited city official. Tonight, we have Amy Wilson from the water treatment plant. If Ms. Wilson, if you could come up to this podium and give us a little update of what's going on, all the excitement over at the water treatment plant, we'd certainly appreciate it.
Well, I'm going to do a little bit of a summary from 2024 because it kind of will continue into 2025 for us. So roughly about a year ago, I came to you all very upset because we had found out that our MCCs, our electrical panels, we were not able to get parts for them anymore, that they were obsolete. And we had had an electrical issue that had caused damage to the panels, and we weren't able to replace the part that was damaged. So that is still in progress. We've had multiple engineers out of the plant. We had to do an arc flash study, and then they had to write a report on all of that, and then they had to put labels on all of the panels. And then once that was completed, that took 3 or 4 months to set up because these people had to come in from out of state. Then it was just kind of trying to get everybody's schedules together. We have Thompson Electric working with us, Crescent Electric, and Schneider Electric. Each one is doing their own part of this. Like Thompson's taking care of the generators and the rentals that we would need to run the plant while we are doing these projects and we don't have any electric coming in from the outside. So we finally got that done in November. So right now we're in the phase of waiting for these electrical, they're kind of just like plug and play units to be built. They came in, they did measurements, which was really cool. They came in with computers and they scanned the whole inside, and then they took actual physical measurements to make sure everything matched up. They're saying that these panels will be ready by early spring. So it remains to be seen whether or not that will be met, that deadline. It's taken way longer, honestly, than I thought it would. I was thinking, at least 6 or 7 months as far as, getting this project really going, but with, hurricanes and different things, it ends up slowing things down because there's only so many people that build these panels. So we were kind of pushed to the side a little bit to allow for the natural disasters and trying to get places in South Carolina up and running again. So we're still waiting for our retrofit panels. I wish I could have better news on that. But I'm glad that, early spring, we should have at least those 2 main panels in the tie-in completed, and that was like the big chunk of it. We will still have several smaller panels that are also in the same situation where we don't have parts for them. And that would be the next steps, is slowly but surely replacing the smaller panels. And we could do those individually. It won't be as impactful to the plant as these two main panels in this tie-in. So that's kind of what we're looking for 2025, and also maybe even into 2026, 2027. The other major thing that we were able to achieve last year was the lead and copper inventory. This was required by the federal EPA. We had multiple departments working on this. We had finance and engineering and water billing. We all kind of came together, went through all of our old files. We had records all the way into the 1800s, like late 1800s, when they were actually putting in the distribution system. So according to the records that we were able to find, it appears as though we've had no historical record of lead pipes being laid in our water distribution system. It was really a very neat thing to see that Ravenna has always had very good record keeping. They had some kind of rudimentary form of asset management, which was really neat, because all the handwritten notes and all the inventories and cost, and it was just really neat to see all of that, because those records don't always exist in other places. So we were very, very fortunate. It saved us a lot of stress and hassle. It's those little things that we do in our jobs that we don't think might affect future generations. So whoever wrote those notes and kept all of that, thank goodness. So yes, we were able to submit that by October 15th. This will be a continuing project, so it'll probably be myself, engineering, and water billing that will continue updating this and submitting it for the foreseeable future. Any type of updates that we would find. The next big step too, even though we have these records saying that we do not have lead, we still have to do a visual inspection, and I can't remember the percentage per year, starting in 2027, but we will have to visually have a confirmation on our lines. So we're going through all of our old records now, and we'll update that spreadsheet as visual confirmations that we do not have lead. So the other really big project that we've got coming up in 2025 would be an upgrade to our SCADA system. I was already hoping to have this done, but with the MCC things that happened very early on in the year, I was terrified to spend the money. And then, we were getting quotes back on some of the computer equipment that we would need to upgrade to. I didn't feel comfortable with the amount of money that they wanted to charge us for that. And luckily, we have an IT guy with Jonathan Bender. He could confirm my fear that we would be overpaying for that equipment. So Jonathan and I are going to work together and find comparable equipment, and then they will just, ProTech will just upload their software once we find the equipment that we want to purchase. So we're planning on doing that before the fall of 2025. And what kind of spurred this on is that the operating system is no longer going to be supported by Microsoft. If we upgrade to the new operating system, the SCADA will not function. So we're kind of at the end of the lifespan of that SCADA system. So,
Amy, I don't mean to interrupt, but could you review for us the SCADA system to make sure we have an understanding of what's getting updated?
so the SCADA system is the computer system that we run the entire plant on. It allows us to monitor distribution as far as tank water levels so that we know how to adjust our high service pumps to supply the city. It also allows us 24-hour-a-day monitoring of chemicals, pH, anything that might directly affect water quality for the finished product. So it's very, very critical to what we do. I mean, we can run the plant manually. That would be tough because, you're opening valves, closing valves, you can do all of that manually if we have to. But to have a very nice SCADA system that's running optimally is critical, giving our staffing and giving requirements, the requirements that from the state it's just nice to have that computer backup, not just a laboratory backup, but also real-time data. If we would ever run into an issue, we could always present that data. So it's very, very critical. We will have a new one by the end of the year. The other thing we're going to also continue on to, and this we've been doing this since 2023, we've been upgrading portions of the plant's potable water system. And that the copper pipes are leaking everywhere. They were original to the plant. We've been patching portions of it. So we had a nice large chunk done in the basement in 2023. We've been doing smaller sections since. So this year we've decided we're going to give a little TLC to our boiler system because that water also feeds into the boiler system. We've got a lot of leaks popping up everywhere, even with around our patches. And it's usually like around the elbows and stuff, like the joints. And it looks as though it's been retrofitted in the past. Like they might have had some extra equipment that they've taken out and they've added additional patches, but now they're starting to leak. So this year, we're just going to kind of focus on the parts of the boiler that are leaking and get that all fixed up so we don't have to worry about it, and it should be good for another 30, 40 years. So those are the major projects that I'm looking at. We also have some fun stuff, like, this past year, we stocked the lake with walleye, perch, and rainbow trout. We'll just kind of continue to monitor everything that's going on in the lake. It seemed like a really good turnout this year with the fishing. Very happy about that. We may end up doing some more canal dredging. We did a small portion of it last year, but just to continue on with maintaining that. Any of the soil that we take from that, we use to reinforce the bank. And then we seed and stabilize the ground, so it makes everything, that whole feeder canal going into our lake, it keeps it well maintained. And we're also continuing on with the fencing project that's going around the lake. We don't have it completely fenced. We had a little bit of a delay last summer because we actually brought in a surveyor. There was a portion of where we wanted to put the fence that was kind of questionable. We didn't know where exactly our property line was. And we just wanted to make sure that we were within our legal right to put that fence up. So we got that taken care of, we put that fence up, and we're also just going to continue possibly into 2026 with that fencing project, doing a little bit at a time. And we had some small successes as a plant. We hosted the Northeast Ohio office of the Ohio EPA. They came in and they used our plant as a learning facility. They brought in a lot of their new surveyors, and we got to walk them around and give them a tour, and then they ended up renting the APCO building, so they got to enjoy the lake a little bit besides the tour. So we were really happy about that. The feedback we got from them was excellent.
Did Dan make them food?
No, they made their own food.
I thought
but-
maybe Dan would prepare for them.
Well, they wanted us to come to lunch. We were like, well. But no, we had a great time, and we, have some great photos of it. And it was a lot of fun. It wasn't, we also hosted NEFCO, which is an organization that deals with runoff into streams and how that can affect source water quality. We also had that big group come out, and those were all like water leaders from around our area, so we got to give them a tour of the plant. And once again, the feedback was very good from all of that. So, we were very happy last year. Good year. And I want to extend an invite to all of you. If you ever want to come and tour the plant, just tell me what type of tour you want. If you want a financial tour, we can do that. Or if you just want a fun informational tour, I can do that. So we can just kind of tailor it to what you want, depending on what's going on with the council. But yeah, please come out and see our plant. But that's all I have. So if you open it up to you if you have any questions.
Amy, on the replacing the electrical service and that complete job, I know we appropriated quite a bit of money on an emergency basis to do that last year. With the delays, how is the funding going for that? Is it costing you a lot more, or are you being able to do it within the budget that was approved?
It appears as though we're going to stay within budget. But we will see going into this year, like what if the rental will go up on that generator. That generator was like $13,000. But it was like a huge full-size generator that could run high service pumps and everything. So we literally had the plant isolated on one whole side, so we were able to maintain water service to the community. It took a lot of planning. We also had Kent involved in this too. In case we needed any emergency water, they were ready to, at a moment's notice, to open some valves and send us some water. But as of right now, I mean, we're looking okay with sticking within budget. So
Thank you.
I don't know that a lot of people realize the strong partnership that you guys do have with Kent and how much you guys depend on each other
Yes.
and help each other out a lot, which is really, I find it fascinating how the pipes can go to each other. And I recently, just learned about all that, and I was pretty impressed.
yeah, we have a really good working relationship with them. Every 2 weeks, we do a water transfer to make sure those valves are working, and also to make sure that the chlorine is maintained, the chlorine, free chlorine residual is maintained in that 20-inch water main that connects us. So every 2 weeks we're talking with them. So, yeah, the leadership over there is excellent. Yeah, and hopefully that continues into the future, that they understand the importance of maintaining that line.
Thank you.
Any other questions from council? Before you go, Amy, I had a question for you. And it's just my curiosity in politics and so forth. With the incoming administration, there's a cabinet member who is opposed to having or wants to remove fluoride from city water systems. Do you have any opinion about that, or the pros and cons of such a change?
Well, I mean, for us, because it's a strong acid when we get it in, operators coming into contact with that chemical, I mean, it's a nasty chemical, it is. But the other benefits that come from it, when we have a water main break, that's one of the things we look for is fluoride in the water. So it helps us find where these main breaks, if it's a main break or if it's just water that's just laying in a puddle, or it's one of our indicators because it is a stable metal that's in the water once we've added it to our water. And it's one of our indicators. If you had chlorine, it's just going to break down if it's on the outside or if the sun's on it or if it's coming into contact with dirt. You can't use that as an indicator. So it'll be interesting to see. I wouldn't mind feeding it at a lower dose, but still having it.
I was just curious.
It's just my opinion.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, we will move on with the agenda then. Next item is report from committees. Committee meetings will start at 6 p.m. next Monday, January 13th. The first committee is utilities. Mr. Moskin.
There will be nothing next week for utilities.
Information systems, Mr. Maravich.
I don't think we have anything slated, but I'll let you know if that updates.
I thought Jonathan Bender was coming.
Yeah, actually he is. I was thinking of a different topic thing, other department.
So you will be having a meeting.
Yes, we will be meeting next week.
Planning, Ms. West?
We will be having a meeting.
Committee of the Whole will be on Tuesday because Monday is, I believe, President's Day, the 20th?
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King.
Martin Luther King Day, I'm
Junior
sorry.
Day.
I got my holidays mixed up. So it would be Tuesday, January 21st at 6 p.m. Also a reminder that we will be having a meeting that night at 5 p.m. to discuss hot button issues for our comprehensive plan meeting. Make sure that's on your calendar. Next up is public health and safety. Ms. Michael?
To be decided, and also is an update. I don't know if everyone looked in their packet and saw that the chief has submitted 3 topics in here about some fire department information. It's in the packet. One was that we did not receive the grant. Did you guys know that?
Yeah.
Was that,
The one grant, but then they applied for 2 others, I think?
yeah, the grant for the UTV was denied.
Right.
So I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware of that. And the other important information I thought was really nice is to see that Zach Thomas applied and was accepted as a qualifying candidate to the Indiana Smoke Divers training. So that is huge. So I want to wish him best of luck, and I'm excited to see that, you know, one of our own is, you know, accelerating and bringing some additional information here. So
Yeah, exciting.
wanted to pass that on.
Okay. Next up is Streets and Sidewalks. Mr. Harper?
Committee meeting to be determined at this time.
Thank you. Personnel, Dr. Calfee?
Personnel Committee is not going to meet.
Okay. Community and Economic Development, Ms. Wood?
To be determined.
Do we have an update from the cemetery from either or both Mr. Moscom and Ms. West?
Yes, a little bit. This time there's $25,000 put into the equipment fund or to accumulate for further purchases. Now, there won't be equipment purchased this year, but because of the extreme rise in cost and everything, Mark is thinking ahead and putting money aside for when something is needed. And then there's some money put toward the chapel, a fund to start with. Of course, the true cost of it, I don't even want to speculate because it's way up there. But Mark's putting some money into a fund for a start, and hopefully we can find someone that can assess that specializes in historical buildings like that, to give a real close figure on really what it's going to take. That's all that I have. Christine, if you want to.
After our meeting, I had the opportunity to go into the chapel. I've never been in there, because I've never been to a funeral over there, so it's stunning in there. Those windows are beautiful, so I really hope that we can try to figure out a way to salvage that. The other thing is that, as corny as it sounds, their dump truck is celebrating a 25th birthday this year, and it's still running, which scares me a bit, so, but they're doing a great job maintaining it, but they've had that equipment that long. That was something kind of neat to learn.
Thank you. Next up is Parks and Recreation. Mr. Maravich, do you have a report for us?
Yes, so bids closed on, and the contract is signed for the resurfacing project out there. The new cameras are on order, and they'll be installed weather permitting in January here. The front loader was delivered and is already being used. And some upcoming events for those that want to mark their calendars. We have the annual Marlene Watt Poker Run, which will be held Saturday, March 15th, and the citywide Easter Egg Extravaganza will be Saturday, April 19th. Updates on times later.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move on in the agenda to first reading of ordinance. The first ordinance is ordinance number 2025-4.
An ordinance appropriating $35,000 from the general fund to be donated to the Serenity House project located at 3761 Lovers Lane annually for 10 years and declaring an emergency.
This is sponsored by Community and Economic Development. Ms. Wood?
Yes, we discussed this last month, and this is to help with the operating costs on the collaboration between NDS and Town Hall 2 as the resource center and first stop shop to help combat the homelessness, mental health, and addiction issues.
And we did get a little bit of a presentation at our committee meetings from Town Hall 2 and NDS regarding this and the other ordinance that was passed as part of the consent agenda to provide, I believe, $125,000 in RLF funds to help them renovate this facility. Are there questions, concerns about this ordinance? Do we have a motion to suspend the 3 separate readings?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Kelfie?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Maravich?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And a motion to waive or to adopt the emergency clause?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kelfi?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Maravich?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
And a motion to approve the ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Kelfi?
Yes.
Mr. Maravich?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
That ordinance stands approved. The next ordinance is ordinance number 2024-146.
An ordinance creating a new section of the codified ordinances of the City of Ravenna, Part 8, Business Regulation and Taxation Code, Title II, Business Regulation by adding Chapter 864, Massage Establishments, Section 864.01, Definitions, Section 864.02, License and Registration Required, Section 864.03, Requirements for Massage Establishment, Section 864.04, Inspections, Section 864.99, Penalty, and declaring an emergency.
And I apologize, this is on second reading. So there were some subtle changes since the first reading. I did want to point out to council that one of the issues in this ordinance is it doesn't explicitly define the process for obtaining a registration certificate for becoming a massage establishment. The plan is to update the zoning code in 1268, where we define all the different zoning districts to make this a conditionally permitted establishment within commercial zones. That hasn't been done yet. So my question to council, and we can talk about this a little bit, is whether or not you want to vote for this ordinance as is. We will definitely move forward to making those zoning changes. Or, and to be honest, it would be my preference to explicitly state in this chapter that this is a conditionally permitted entity, and that it would go through the process, which means a review by the Planning and Zoning Commission in order to receive a certificate.
That's originally what had always been discussed.
Right.
So,
But this is the mechanism and how to do it. And to do it, we do need to change the zoning, which will
Right.
follow. But the question is it okay to leave this chapter as is, where it doesn't define that process? Or, as it would be my preference, to include some language in here that actually says this is conditionally permitted in commercial zones, which it doesn't right now.
what is the, law director, I mean, what are your thoughts? Is it either way? I mean,
The ordinance says it's, if it would have that language in there, there's nothing wrong. I would say it's more directional, because it does not have the ability to change the zoning code.
Right.
And the zoning code is what needs to be changed in order to create a conditionally permitted use. So the zoning code needs that modification to it in whatever districts you want to have it to be a conditional use. Putting it in this ordinance is kind of directional, and it does not necessarily really answer the question, because you have to define a zoning district and modify that portion of that zoning district that says conditional uses. And then that then brings about the ability to have it go before the Planning and Zoning Commission and allow that. Get a certificate to do that.
are we making it too complex right now for with the purpose that we wanted to do when we started out with this? I mean, previously there was no, like, the requirements, now we did set forth requirements. And, I think that's the main thing in the beginning. We got to get something in the books that is going to protect us and protect our community for some of these establishments that are showing up. I don't want to keep holding an ordinance up if we can go back and change it.
Right. But we will need, as Mr. Semino said, we will need to change the zoning.
I understand that.
And we haven't done that yet. If you recall, Mr. Finney had provided some tracking sheets that would have done that, but they never got established as an ordinance. So there's the options. We could pass this as is, and then next month, if we have time to do it, pass those other ordinances regarding changing the zoning code. Or we could bundle this together. This is only on second reading. We could wait another month and pass it all as one package.
I would say this, the most you can do in this ordinance is say, look, we're considering this to be a conditional use. And, you know, before you can actually open a door and get an occupancy permit to run it, you've got to go before the Planning and Zoning Commission to get a zoning certificate for the unconditional conditional use. So, to me, in my opinion, if you want to go ahead and make this a solid presentation, I think it's better to go ahead and address the issues where you're creating the zoning district in which you're going to be authorizing this, all right? To me, when you just say, I'm going to pass the ordinance as it reads today, and even if you had the additional wordings in this ordinance, saying you need a, conditional use certificate, it doesn't necessarily allow anybody to do anything. I mean, they don't have the ability to go before the planning commission and get it because it's not in our code. So to me, I think it'd be much better to put it all into, you have your zoning ordinance over here that's gonna say, now if it's the commercial district you want it to be in, you'll put in the conditional use in the zone, in the commercial district. And then you have this ordinance then come into existence. As it stands, as it presently stands, even if you say we require this to be a conditional use, it's not in the code. It's nowhere to be found, and somebody who wants to try and run and do this is
Not able to
not
proceed.
Pardon?
They're not able to finish the process. It's like a flashlight with no batteries.
Right.
Is it possible to proceed, as Mr. Karas said, to put it on to next month, have this is the third reading and pass it next month, along with those zoning provisions, have them ready next month and
As I
take it?
understand it, if you're just looking to put it into the commercial district, an ordinance could be prepared that would amend the commercial district, conditional use, add that in that provision, and you're done. The other thing I guess I would be concerned about is, it talks about a registration, but we don't really name anyone or any place to go to get the registration certificate. So I think that should also be added to this. Where
Would it
are they
be the-
supposed to go to get that?
The building department, I would think.
Well, but I think we should say it, wherever
Yeah,
it's
I
gonna
would
be,
thought that it was
all right?
supposed to be put in there, but yeah.
Well, it doesn't say that. Anyway, I think that's another thing that could be added for this coming month.
Okay, so how do people feel about leaving this on third reading, and then next week we can talk about those other changes and pass those along, and then pass the entirety as a package in February?
Yeah, I agree. This cake needs more time to bake, so.
Okay. All right, everyone okay with that? All right, then we'll move on to ordinances on third reading. First ordinance is ordinance number 2024-132.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to sign an easement to allow Portage Metropolitan Housing Authority, PMHA, to place a generator behind Ravenna City Hall and declaring an emergency.
Okay, this one is sponsored by the Planning Committee.
Planning
Ms.
and
West.
we-
Do we have an easement
We
agreement?
do not, so I would actually like to make a motion to postpone the vote until our next regular meeting.
Okay, yeah, so since this is on third reading, we can't just wait another month. I think we need a motion, right?
We can postpone it.
But
Motion to
well, we need a
postpone.
motion to postpone it.
So-
Does anybody have any other comments or questions about this? Yeah, everyone knows what this is, right?
Yes.
It's been on the agenda for a few months. Okay, so do we have a motion to, what's the wording of it?
I did make a motion.
Oh, you did? Oh, I'm sorry. Do
Okay.
we have a second?
Second.
When are we postponing it?
Till our next regular meeting. It's gonna
Okay.
happen, I can feel it.
Okay.
All right, let's have a roll call.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Mr. Kelfi?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Maravich?
Yes.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Okay, we will entertain that ordinance next month. The next ordinance is ordinance number 2024-133.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an aggregation renewal agreement with Energy Harbor, formerly First Energy Solutions, to supply electricity to Ravenna City residents for the period from June 2025 through May 2026 and declaring an emergency.
This one is sponsored by Utilities. Mr. Moskin.
Excuse me. Yes, this is for the new electrical aggregate. And thus far, I haven't heard for sure if there's a different rate than what was mentioned in the past.
I don't know if we've even gotten a rate.
I haven't gotten a rate yet. I'm still waiting.
Okay.
So have you been in contact? with-
Yeah, I have been, but he says it's just not the right time to give you a rate. I said, okay. So,
And he doesn't have a timetable for when to do
No.
that?
no, it's a shame because I would have never put this, on the docket if I would have known that. So
Yeah.
I was under the impression that he was going to give us a quick rate, so.
So I guess
Still waiting.
we're faced with a little bit of a dilemma in that we could do the same thing we did to the previous ordinance and just postpone it, but we don't really know if we'll have anything a month from now either, do we?
Yep.
No, I don't.
It sounds like this is just an undeterminable amount of time when an exact rate will be received to the service director.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's good news or bad news or neither. It's, I mean,
At this point, I'm getting the impression that it's good news to this point because they're high rates right now, and that's why he hasn't given us a rate. So,
yeah.
you
But
know,
then, but that's based on the assumption they'll go down
Exactly.
and not even higher. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a crapshoot.
And I don't like to go on assumptions because then you have no idea which way something will go.
Procedurally, though, what do we want to do here? Do you want to just
I think we should just postpone it and hopefully
postpone
maybe
it for
get
another
something
month?
in.
Is there any limit to the number of times we can postpone something?
I second that.
Oh, is that a motion then?
I'll make a motion to postpone until the next regular meeting.
And I believe we have a second.
Second.
Let's have a roll call.
Ms. Wood?
Yes.
Ms. West?
Yes.
Mr. Calfee?
Yes.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes.
Ms. Michael?
Yes.
Mr. Maravich?
Yes.
Mr. Harper?
Yes.
Okay, that ordinance is also postponed till February. Moving on in the agenda, that's the last of our ordinances on third reading. We now would like to entertain any old business, and I believe we do have some old business to discuss, Dr. Kelly.
Yes, I'd like to address a piece of old business that we need to talk about. It's 2025, and anytime at the beginning of the year, we look back at major events of the past year. And this past year, huge major events in 3 floods that took place, January, 2 in August, of catastrophic proportions. After the August flooding, we talked a lot about stormwater system and what went wrong and what additional fixes that we need to make to it. And we said we were going to examine all of the stormwater systems, look for the problems, look what needed to be corrected, look to see how we could avoid this. We're now in the new year, and I'm requesting from the administration, if we could, that we can receive a report on what was found. This would include what has been repaired, what's been corrected, what still needs to be done, including if we need to be involved in any infrastructure work to increase the capacity of the storm sewers in a couple areas of the city. I believe that this is a really big issue for the city. And I think we all acknowledge that and we know that. And I just want us to make sure that we're continuing to press forward on trying to get some solutions, because I would just hate for us to be in the position where next summer we have these same type of floods. And I do know that many of our residents have taken measures to prevent this happening in their own homes. Many people have. But I think we need to keep track of where we are, and I'd like to hear back where we are on all of this. It is a big issue, but if you were some of the people that were flooded, it's a monumental issue.
Absolutely.
And it's a big problem that we need to continue to work on. So I'm requesting that we get some update on that. We don't need it at the next meeting or anything. Maybe it was already planned for this, but I'd like to keep working on this project.
I agree with you. That was very well said, Dr. Calfee. Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't know if you knew.
I was going to say, I think some of us are still hearing from some of the past victims that you know, had suffered from the last catastrophic. And I think a lot, you know, and we're in a position where we can only do so much, and we rely on the administration and their expertise. So if we have some form of numbers and actually the facts out there that we can actually show the residents, I think that is huge. So thank you for bringing that up.
I've had some complaints from some residents that some people in their late 70s and 80s have had to take care of things because they haven't been done. Now they're at the point where they don't do it. So certain places just aren't taken care of anymore because the residents aren't in physical shape to do it themselves, and they've had to do it for several years.
So procedurally, would you like to have this put on the utilities agenda? I know Mr. Moskin didn't plan on having a meeting. Or do you have some other,
Well,
you want to wait for the report to come back?
I'm not sure where we are on it. I know Mr. Finney's been working diligently, and the other assistant city engineer have been working on it. They've kept track of some maps of what they have needed to be done. I want to hear back what the report is and know where we need to go moving forward. So that's all I'm saying. I don't know if we need it next week, 2 weeks from now. I just don't want it to go cold.
Well, I know one project, it's going to be started, no one knows exactly what month, but later, a little bit later this year, on Jones Street to actually increase the stormwater drains significantly to drastically decrease these type of problems in that area. So that's already in the plans, and that's in a very positive process at this time in that area.
Yes, I'm glad to hear that, and there may be others too that we are not aware of, and we need to be aware of all of those things that are going on, so.
Yeah, there are additional projects scheduled for this summer, a part of the paving program and upgrades to some of the storm, maybe some catch basins, things of that nature. But I agree, a report would be nice to see exactly what's been accomplished, what's on the agenda, and areas that have been researched, and maybe areas that have not been looked at yet that we still need to get to. We all know that additional help was offered to the department if needed. We haven't heard any requests for additional help, so hopefully they're still moving along with those projects.
Okay, well, I'm sure this is something we will not neglect and come back to. And we'll just hope that we don't have the kind of weather events we had last year. But I think it's worthy, and I was going to mention in my remarks, you know, we will be talking with Todd Peets about long-term planning. So the two questions that seem to be facing us is, one, are there immediate projects for basically emergency type situations where this is a potential hazard that we know about? And then what is the long-term plan to update our infrastructure just as a preventative measure so it doesn't happen in other wards more significantly in the future? So, thank you. Any other old business? I'll try to make my remarks brief tonight. I want to welcome everybody back for hopefully a happy, healthy, and productive new year. I'm looking forward to our council meetings and the things we can accomplish this year. I think it's notable that before this year, we did make some changes structurally to how we conduct our meetings. And if you look at the clock, you can see that we are pleasantly, heading towards the end of a meeting that didn't take as long as some of the other meetings we've had. One of the reasons is because we've implemented this consent agenda. Oh, I'll give him some time. And having done that, we've also opened up some space to do some other things, like learn about some of our departments, the water treatment plant tonight and street department last week or last month. So it's nice that we can make these changes, and I hope you all think about these things coming into the future, and maybe other ways we can improve how we conduct our business going forward. In addition, I did mention that we will be meeting with Todd Peets, the director of our Regional Planning Commission, to discuss the comprehensive plan and some issues that council may have specific interest in pursuing in the short term and long term when it comes to planning for the city. So be thinking not just about structurally how we conduct our business, but also how we see the future of Ravenna and what are the, the possibilities and what are the things you've always thought about while you've lived here as ways to improve how our residents live their lives here in our city. So be thinking more strategically as well. So I guess I'll end there, but I did want to reserve a little time because we do have Mr. Moore here, who was not able to come at the beginning of the meeting during our delegation. So I will give some of my remark time to you to come and present specifically what's your concern with the problem with water in your basement that Mr. Brown referred to at the beginning of our meeting.
Okay, I've been trying to get this problem taken care of. It's an unhealthy situation. And when they worked on the streets and everything and changed some pipes, well, I had backup 2 times in 1 week. And so I would like the city to help me get this problem taken care of.
Jerry, what's the address?
1089 West Main Street.
1089, okay.
And when did this happen?
This was probably August, somewhere around
So it's
there.
been a while.
Whatever time they were working
Okay.
at that time.
Did you report it at that time?
Yes, I
Okay.
did, but I got the cooperation I would like to have to get the problem taken care of. They said they just couldn't help me right now at this time, and I don't know why.
And more recently, you've been in contact with the building
I
department?
talked to the engineering department, I talked to Frank and
Okay.
Did you get any
Bob
help?
Finney.
Did you get any help from me?
We talked about it in the office, but the problem's
Yeah.
still there.
Has it flooded since those 2 floods that you had? Have you had water in the basement since then?
No, but that happened though twice in 1 week, so there's still an issue there. And I even had a maze company come out and drain and snake the drain out, and they said there's not a problem with you. The problem seems to be with the city, not you. That's exactly what they told me.
Did they put a camera down that line?
That I don't know, but you guys have cameras, right?
We did. We put our cameras down our line and they're clear.
Well, I still have a problem. I mean, they changed some pipes that didn't change them all. I'm trying to figure out why they didn't change all the pipes when they did that.
Was this related to the Main Street upgrade there in front of your house there?
Yes.
Okay, when they put the new sidewalk and curb down that side?
Yeah, and
there.
I seen them put new pipes in there, but apparently they didn't get mine. So, anyway, I had 2 backups twice in 1 week. So,
When was the last one that you had?
I don't have the actual dates,
It was the 2 heavy storms that we had.
but I know it's a very unhealthy situation. It keeps
They were both in August.
So you haven't had this problem since August? Is that what the mayor's saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, city council is certainly a forum. We open up every regular meeting with the opportunity for residents to come to city council. But sometimes it's important to recognize that the city council doesn't necessarily have any ability to affect, a fix to your problem. That's an administrative component. Now, if there's some, moral claim that might exceed the amount of money our
Well, I also
service
know
director
that-
can provide, then that's where we could maybe step in. But at this point, I don't know that we've identified what the specific problem is that the city can fix. Am I correct? Mr. Con?
The only thing that was identified by Mr. DeSalvo, who's our assistant engineer, is that RCTV inspection showed that Mr. Moore had, basically, his lateral wasn't connected to our line, okay? So basically, I'm looking at his recommendation right now. Dominic DeSalvo gave Mr. Moore a recommendation to have the contractor use a push camera in order to verify the condition of his line, as well as verify where the lateral ties into the city system.
Is that something the city could do for him?
Our level, our CCTV inspection goes from our main line into the Y, which
Right.
doesn't go into his lateral.
I'm saying as a courtesy, would the city be willing to do that?
I mean, that's
And then
something
you could
that,
demonstrate specifically to him where the problem is.
do we want to start that?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, do we want to go that
I'm only,
route?
I'm just asking.
Because,
I'm not-
I mean, we could do that, but we're going to have to do that for everybody.
Yeah.
I mean, and we try to get to the Y to where we can see into his lateral, but we don't try to go up the actual lateral of the residence.
Well, I mean, from the other direction though, like you're expecting him to do.
That's going inside his
Yeah.
house and going out.
Yeah.
Well, I also know that there's other people in my neighborhood that have drainage problems, and they've had to call the TV channels to get the problem fixed. So I don't know what you guys want to do to get this fixed.
Mayor, do you have any suggestions?
Well, we've spent quite a bit of time there with that. And if that lateral's not connected, you're gonna get heavy rains, you're gonna get it. But I think
It
it's.
did not happen until they fixed the pipes. I had no problem. I have sub pumps and everything, and it did not happen until that problem.
Would that be the
occurred.
contractor that would be liable if they did not connect that I mean, like he said, as a courtesy, since this did happen, as they were doing, if that is the case, that this was happening as a result of our work in the street. You know, I mean, every situation's different, so, I mean, as far as doing it for everyone, not everyone has maybe had,
This occur after a city
yes,
work.
you know, there's different situations, not everything's black and white.
But really, I have no idea whether we disconnected any pipes or put any new pipes down there anyway. I really don't know that unless Bob Finney can answer that. I have no idea whether we disconnected any
But there
pipes.
was work done in front of his house.
We'll be
That was-
glad to take it back to Bob and to his group, Dominic, to discuss it and talk specifically about what was put in there. I would think that they probably would know if there was piping put in there with that. But I don't mind taking another look at it.
Yeah, there was work done there and a little bit to the west as well.
So you're coming here and presenting this, means we're gonna give it to the mayor and the administration to review this? It sounds like we don't really know specifically, definitively what the problem is. We believe it's the lateral that
Bless you.
was disconnected. Whose responsibility is that, I guess, needs to yet be determined. We appreciate you coming and letting council know about this problem, and hopefully the administration will follow up.
All right, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to remarks from council members. We'll start with Mr. Maravich.
All right, as a formal commercial driver, just want to remind everyone that as the weather conditions continue to improve, make sure you're giving lots of distance for folks and enjoy staying behind that stop line when people make turns. Avoiding having to call your insurance is great, so be safe out there, folks. A lot of people demonstrate driving competency, others don't, so be wary of them.
Did you do that for Eric?
Right.
No, not specifically.
He's appreciative for you, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for that public service announcement.
Brought to you by viewers like you.
Ms. Michael?
I just want to say, you know, I was actually, I was really impressed with our first snowfall. So good job, kudos to our street department. I didn't have any issues. The roads, at the times that it happened, when I did have to go out, they were clear. So, I was happy to see that. Today, I was in our downtown area and our sidewalks were clear. So I think that things are gonna go well this winter. That was a positive start to the winter. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who's been out there working hard in this cold weather. So other than that, it's kind of a quiet month. I had a nice holiday and ready to start the new year.
Thank you. Mr. Harper?
I'd just like to wish everybody a happy new year and second what Amy said about the street department with their snow removal team. I think they did a very good job so far this year.
Ms. Wood?
Other than echoing both of their comments, Happy New Year, and look forward to what 2025 is going to bring.
You did forget something. What's tomorrow night that you and Christina?
Oh, yes. Sadly, Ravenna has lost a young man recently, 21 years old. He graduated in 2021. He was one of our star basketball players. He was in a automobile accident the weekend after Christmas. And tomorrow evening at the high school basketball game, there will be a dedication of the game to the family, as well as a moment of silence, and there will be a bake sale and 50-50 for the proceeds to go to the Lehman family. So if anyone would like to participate and be there to support this devastating time for this family, it's greatly appreciated. But yes, that has been my last 10 days of trying to get stuff together, so.
And baked goods are appreciated if anybody
Wants to donate. Anyone wants to make anything? I believe we had 8 dozen baked as of this afternoon when I left.
Is that just confections, or is that also like bread-like goods? Just curious.
Tyler likes to make bread, so.
Anything,
make your bread.
anything.
All right. And that's
Thank you,
tomorrow,
Miss.
you said?
Yes, tomorrow. The JV game starts at 5:30, so we will be there, but they will be doing the recognition of the family and the moment of silence right before the varsity game.
Okay, so I can contact you directly about baked goods?
Yes, feel free.
I have
Ms.
nothing.
West?
No additional comments, thank you.
Mr. Moskin?
Yes, I had some conversations with the different employees in the police department, and they wanted me to let everyone know they're very appreciative for the new firearms and the optics. They haven't had optics on their guns in the past. This is making a drastic difference for them as officers in that department. And they're really thrilled that that was approved quite a bit. Then I was going to say the fire department is in, well, the building isn't in that great a shape to start with. And there's a multitude of things that need to be done there. And the reason I'm saying this is because of the enormous cost that it would take. Then the only feasible thing was to really look into the safety building later. And I won't go into all the detail because it won't really be understood without paying a visit there and seeing everything that's, needs to be changed and altered and things of that nature. And the other thing that I wanted to mention, even though we've had 2 representatives from departments here, they've just hit some high points. But to really see the whole picture, I'm just encouraging everyone to visit the departments whenever time permits, even if it's 2-3 times a year, whatever it is. And then you'll be able to really see the whole picture in these departments, really how they operate. It's far more than what has been described here tonight and then last month. Because then when they present things, that way we have if no one's been there or worked there, you have a better understanding of certain types of terminology possibility. And so it would make a huge difference if everyone had time just to do that at times, and the superintendents, supervisors are very open to that as well. And they said, depending on your lifestyle, they'll even compensate their hours at times, and that way, depending what kind of time you want to spend or what you want to learn, they're more than happy to show a multitude of things. Okay, that's it.
Thank you. Mayor Seaman, your remarks tonight?
I'm not, we have a good start to the new year. And a number of the things that were discussed tonight, I plan to put into the report, the yearly report to council. With that, Mr. Finney and Dominic were on that march through the weeds and hither and yon, tracking the flow of water from the houses to, makes its way into the ditch. A lot of it is around the Diamond Street area and the plant there, the wastewater treatment plant. Handles a lot of that. We are planning on running a line from the Chestnut Street. There seems to be a problem there also with better equipment, but it needs a whole nother line that they want to put in, and we're going to have to work on funding that. But they have not been, Bob is, of course, as you all know, had an operation, and he's going to be coming back in a day or two, I believe. But they got right after that. They don't want to hear it either. So they are working on it, and it'll be part of my address to the city with that, along with other things. When we sit here and talk, sometimes we only hear negative things, and we forget there's a lot of good things that's been accomplished, especially this past year with stuff that there's been a lot of people, and I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about you guys, and I'm talking about our employees. We have very good employees. I'm impressed with them more every day. And it's amazing that our insurance went up less than 1.6, not 1.6. It was less than that. The increase on it, when I'm hearing other people are getting 15-20% increases. And it's because they come to work, and they help put us over. We have the wellness program that Heather put together, working with a group of people. And we're starting our third year of that now with that, and that has been helpful. We're working with safety. I think today Heather had to file a report on injuries, and we had 7 people that had injuries last year, and the number of days lost due to injury was 10. So, and I have to give our department heads and our employees credit for these kind of figures to get there. They're unheard of. So there's a lot of good stuff. The water flow was the albatross that we're wearing around our neck with that, but we are working on it, but it is not something that will be fixed tomorrow. It's going to take long-range planning with that, but it needs to be done. Infrastructure's old everywhere. So I'm looking forward to talking to you after the event I attended the other day online. with that. It talks about money for infrastructure. So we are working on these things, and Mr. Moore is a gentleman. I knew his father was Claude Moore, and I worked a lot with him when I was administrator in the school system. And they're good people. We will try our best to help with this.
I have one other comment real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to mention that since 2017 through 2024, that the fire department's input calls have gone up by 1,000 calls in that time span. And just wanted to say that because their load has increased a lot, and a lot of times we really don't.
Keep in mind, when we didn't have money, they functioned with 4. And the promise was to get them back to their normal slot, which was 6, which we did. And as soon as we had the money to do it, we did it. And then we were asked to add additional people, which we have added one more.
One, yes.
With it. And I know they desire to have another one. I don't know where they'll sleep. They'll have to sleep in the truck, I guess.
No, you do have a good point at that, because that's limited space.
Yeah,
And
that's the kind of stuff you want folks to see, so that they know we're going to be asking for money to build the safety building, because we need to do it.
Yes.
And also, let's talk, not just the fire department, but the police department's
Yes.
calls have gone up, dispatchers' calls have gone up.
Yes.
Street department's calls have gone up. I think the entire city's calls have gone up. So we're a healthy city and we're thriving, so.
Well, it's good to point out that we often focus on the negative and don't spend enough time talking about all the good things that happen. So I appreciate that you made that comment tonight. Okay, well, thank you for your
Ryan has
comment. So we have, you gotta,
2 seconds. I just want to say thank you
You're
from the
welcome.
Ravenna Chamber of Commerce for the city's continuous support. It does not go unnoticed and is so incredibly appreciated. And we're excited about this 2025 year. And there's a lot that's going to be happening, so stay tuned. But as always, thank you. And I'm glad to see you guys all had a great Christmas and a Happy New Year.
thank you, and we appreciate everything the chamber does for the city as well. All right, with that, do we have a motion to adjourn tonight?
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
You're not allowed to have it.
How are you?
Pictures and
Remember you.
Phrase in there about
I'm trying to look, because I want to get you.
I think
you also want to,
The massage, the zoning
something
for
to
the
the
massage.
effect
I already have,
that,
I already know.
It's like, it should be the